I'm going to share the screen. Give me a second. Share. Okay, so I'm opening a terminal, so I will build everything from scratch. I need CD and documents. Go into CTech. I presume that I want to build my project here. So npm create React app, and let's call it user CRUD application, right? So they should build the stuff. So what did you learn this week?
We learned how to use React Strap with Hanabek.
Okay, React Strap, cool.
We also learned how to
filter
async function, how
Cool.
to fetch data asynchronously.
Okay, cool. So you should be familiar with most of the stuff I'm showing today. So let's start. Let's rock and roll. So I will have to navigate to that folder. So cd user CRUD app. I need to open my Visual Code in that folder. So this is a basic app. Maybe one more. So first of all, we will clean it, right? So we don't need anything of this. We may still need app CSS. We can rename this to JS6. We don't need test files. So I'm not teaching tests. Last cohort, I was teaching very interesting test things, but students were couldn't appreciate that, so I stopped teaching testing. And so we have a here. We don't need this. We can remove this part here. We don't need class name. So we say hello world just to make sure that nothing breaks. And I need to start my project. So something is breaking as always. Probably I need to restart my terminal. The desktop CTech documents user CTech user yarn start. So okay, so it still complains about me having some opened projects somewhere. Let me close everything. So okay, code. Give me a second. Okay, now it should, in theory, it should start working. Cool. So I will shift this one here. So we can see our app works. So everything is cool. We will need this here. So guys, let's start. So first of all, as you can see that my table was like well structured, but actually I didn't do much styling in that project. So the thing I learned during the recent years, it's a material UI, which is very nice thing. It is it's a kind of like React strap, but it's more sophisticated, more way smarter. So we need to install it. You can see like it has a lot of things. Places like Spotify, Amazon, NASA, Netflix, Unity use this stuff. So if these people using it, then we most certainly have to use it, right? So material UI install. So here you can use npm. If you use npm, I'm using yarn, and I will need to do first. I'm install material UI, emotion React, emotion styled. Cool, nice. And I also going to use the styled components, so I will need this part as well. So I will send you the links for this material. Use it or lose it. Style components. You will definitely will benefit from this from these two things. Material UI is used by many companies. And usually it is based for like a lot of custom internal things, internal styling. So you don't need to kind of style every button. It allows you to create consistency. So like, for example, you can do buttons like here. You see various types of buttons, disabled, contained. You can do tables, so which we will use today. We do there are tooltips. So tooltip is something that pops up. So a lot of things, and you can use it across the whole app, so it will be consistent. Okay, so now that thing is installed. The second thing, we have to start with our application. The first thing, I will create a .env file. So this is .env. So what is the .env? Does anyone know?
No.
So .env file, it's the environmental file. Usually this file is not contains a lot of like a hidden information. So once you create .env, you have to go to git ignore and say don't export .env. So .env file will contain all the passwords, everything like whatever is related, maybe URLs and all that information which you don't want to expose to GitHub. So we create a .env file. Usually when you create .env in the React application, any variable, this is a variable, this is value. Any variable should start with React_app, and then you usually add some extra custom names. Everything should be in capital cases. So we updated our git ignore. So we have this. I will show you quickly our users data. So I'm logging here. Hopefully it will load. Cool. So data is loaded, as you can see. So the data contains ID, gender, marital status, place of birth, date of birth, last name, first name, email. Some of you who were doing doing my homeworks regularly, I sent this already in the past when we were learning fetch. So you should be familiar with this data. And those who don't do homeworks, so this is probably the first time you see this data. Okay. So we saved this. We don't need this. We don't need this. So we have a data. So we store it in .env. So once you update the .env, you have to restart your environment again. So we should restart it again. We do yarn start. So now, guys, we have to start building application. And our application, I will suggest to start with building, like trying to fetch our data, right? So our data is what is the users. So we need a useState hook to store users somewhere. So we set users to update the users. So we use useState, state, and by default it should be what? It should be empty. So now I have a warning saying that I don't have a useState, so I import it. So how do you do fetch in a React application?
Using component did mount, can do it.
Okay, so you use component did mount. We will use useEffect hook.
Okay.
Like I will use it here. So it's a time, like I found it to be important because you will eventually learn use effects and you will have to use it during the internship. So watch this while learning use effect. Come back to this lecture and rewatch the video again. So to do fetch, I don't want to use regular fetch. I want to use a package called Axios. I'm installing Axios here. So component did mount. So once component did mount, when this life cycle happens, so component did mount when it's a self-explanatory, right? So once component rendered, it will run that lifecycle method, right? Component did mount. So useEffect will do the similar thing. So we have useEffect. In useEffect, it's essentially a function which accepts the callback. So in this callback, we have to, there is an optional parameter. So this optional parameter, you can put any parameter you like for example, users here, variable. And what will happen? Every time users change, use effect will render. But we don't need link it to users. We just leave it as empty. It means it will be rendered only once the component mounts. So it's like it works exactly like a component did mount. Here within this function, we have to declare another function which do like get data. And we know when we fetch data, what kind of function it is.
Asynchronous.
Nice. So it is asynchronous function, right? So we are declaring asynchronous function right inside the hook. And when I want to use async await, so what I need to do here?
We need to use await.
Yeah, I'm saying like I'm going to use async await. So what I need to do for that?
Const variable.
Create a variable.
So usually when we do chaining, like when we do like, let's say, fetch, then, and I need also catch to catch the errors, right? So in async await, I always need to try catch, because otherwise you won't be able to get that errors. So remember, if you use async await, you have to use a try catch. So if I get the error, it's easy. I want to do console error. Don't do console log, do console error. So, and here we will do our const. So we say response. For now, we can do like this. And then we do Axios, which is the package which works as a fetch, await, and we do get. So because we are getting the data. So here I need to use that URL, which is in my .environment file. So to access that file, to that variable, I need to say process.env, and the name of the environment variable I'm going to use. Cool. So the response will, if I do like console log here now of the response, you will be able to see, of course, I need to do get data, not date, data. I will do, for now, I need to return something from here because it's a JS6 file. It will expect something to return. I will say, okay. So let's have a look. So what happened? Maybe it is breaking even. Who knows, right? No one knows. So it's again complaints about the application been running. Cool. So it says okay, very promising. I will enlarge this. And here you can see object. We get an object which has configurations and data, headers, requests, and all that stuff. So what we will use, guys? What we need to use?
Data, I think, right?
Yeah. You should not. You should be more certain, right? We need to use data. So I'm destructuring it straight away, saying data is here, right? And another thing, what I can do like, since we are getting the data, so we don't need this anymore. Set users we say data here. So what happens is that once data fetched, we are passing the data to users. So here we can say users. If user is defined, then okay. So, and you can see no okay, and then once okay appeared, it means the data fetched correctly. So everything is fine. Awesome. So we are on a good start. Now, the second thing I would like to add here, and like when data is loading, it would be nice, it would be right thing. So I need another use state. I need another state which will allow to track loading. So I will say, like, if data is loading, I need to do something. I have to inform the our beloved users that the data is loading, right? So we don't want to kind of like don't let them know what's going on, because maybe application is broken and the user won't know about it, or he may think that the application is broken and will leave and data didn't arrive yet. So that's why it's good practice to do a kind of like to display something. So to display, we first of all need to create the state saying loading. So by default it is false because we are not loading anything at the beginning. But once the data is fetching, we say like once use effect is kicking up, we say set loading to true. And once the data is fetched, we set loading to back to false. Cool. So nice. Now we have to do a few things. So we get this loading. So loading will change. Once the use effect starts, the loading we need like a kind of, we want to display some spinner, then data fetched, and then we should display the data. Okay, so the time to build our components. Let's build.
Sorry, Nurzhan, can you
Yes.
explain why we set a second time for false?
So
set loading.
because you want to set loading only when data is not accessible, right? Once data arrived, you set it back to false.
Okay.
So for example, like when we like, let's say we are going to Pinterest. I don't want to kind of like go to Google. So let's say we go to Pinterest, right? So you see the data is loading.
Yeah.
So while data is loading, they're displaying like the placeholders. Oh, Pinterest is yeah, you see it displays the placeholders. So it displays placeholders while it's loading. So once data arrived, you have to set it back to false. This way you should not, you have to kind of like a toggle between displaying the data and displaying some placemakers. So that's why you set the loading to true at the beginning when you want to plan and to fetch. Once the data available, you have to set the loading to false. So I will show you in a second the logic. Just give me 5 minutes to build one thing. So I will start building like users here, J6. In user J6, I'm using I'm quite lazy. I don't want to build it quite this boilerplate again and again. I'm using just extensions. So, and here I say, here should be my users list, right? Cool. And I would like to display it somewhere here. but I need to display it in only in one condition, right? When I want to display it, I want to display it if user's length is more than 0 and data is not loading. So data is not loading, then I have to display the users. So users. Otherwise, I need to display like some div for now, say data loading. Okay, so we need this outside of the. Cool. So let's have a look. So you see here should be my users list, but data loading, and then you see it's going back. So data is fetched. Now we can display our users. Do you see it, guys? Data loading, then goes back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So I don't like this. What is this text? It's like a kind of crap, right? We want to show something more serious, nice looking thing, something more realistic. So first of all, I need to create like a wrapper for my spinner. So I say const, I create a component. So this is the first thing you're going to learn, like a kind of completely new thing. This is a technique you learned already, right? But this is a new technology. So there is a styled components. I send you a link. So in that link, you can read about styled components. So styled components, it's a package which will allow you. So I don't want to use these long names. I use style. So we are saying that I want to style div, and I can give like CSS parameters. I want to say this. So I say display flex. I want to display flex. I can do flex direction, and you can see I'm following exactly like CSS style structure. Column, and I need align items. Let it be center, and I also use padding 20 pixels, and I also can use a gap 10 pixels. Cool. So now I can use this thing, this wonderful thing, as a kind of like styled components, as a component. So I shift it up. So let's have a look. You see, loading, it shifted, does everything here. So nice, we are very close to complete thing. And then I also can, I don't want to do just the text. I want to do like something like a spinner, like a circular progress. So circular progress, it's a part of the material UI. So circular progress, we better do circular progress, and then we do a default import. So by the way, there is a trick how to, like sometimes you don't have it in order, and so this is how you call it, this import. Do you know how to call it, this import and this import? Do you see the difference between this, or like something like this and this?
Yes.
So what's the difference?
We give you pass on the line 3 because like
It's
That's
locally, right?
local, yeah.
This
On
is
the
also local, but this is called absolute path. This is relative, right? This is relative. When we say like dot something, this is relative path. So the convention is relative should be below absolute path. So this is absolute, this is relative. So how to do it? you press Shift Alt O, or Shift Option O on your command, like on your, if you're on Mac, or Shift Alt O if you're on Windows. So it's automatically gives the creates the correct structure. So I also fan of making the break, so it is very clear now that we have absolute and relative. So that's cool. Let's have a look what's happened. You see, data is loading, and then it goes back. So cool. So we have a data. Everything comes. Now we are coming to the like a meat of this project, the building this table. And building the table is easy with user material UI, right? So for the table here, first of all, I need to pass what I need to pass to this, to here. What do you think is missing? Like the most obvious thing.
Data.
Yes, good. So we are not passing the users, so we have to pass it here. So we are passing it to users. So we passed it here, and then we are importing it users here, right? So the data comes, and then we can like start building the table. So with the table, we in Material UI, there are things which we will use. We will use components. Within that components, we will have to use box. So the box is the box component serves as a wrapper component for most of the CSS utility needs. So it's just like a div, but with some sugar, right? So with some sugar stuff. So you can modify it, you can style it, and do a lot of things. So to style it, you use S6 and then you pass some object in it. So we will use the same thing. So we use box. It's already suggesting that it's coming from Material UI, or like MUI for short. So, and we do S6 here, and we say that we want it to be the width of 100%. So the box is just a container. It doesn't do like, it doesn't give like anything, right? It's just like a wrapper, as it said. Another thing that in Material UI is called paper. So what is the paper? Paper is another thing here, very commonly used. So let me find it. Paper, so right at my hand. So paper is like a kind of also like a div component which can stand out. You can do like apply elevations to it, and it will just elevate it from the canvas. So in material design, physical properties of paper are translated to the screen. So you can apply different backgrounds, outline, and all that stuff. So this is all examples of the paper. And from now on, like any project you do, the next one will be also Material UI. So you will learn more about Material UI. And learning process is hard, but it is fruitful. So the development is way faster than just doing styled components. And also it is consistent. So you don't see, like if you go to Facebook, you don't see stuff which is common to Gmail in the Facebook. So they have all own things. So the one mistake I did, this one needs to be a string. So this one also 100% width. I misspelled this part, width. And we also have MB2. So MB2, it means margin bottom 2. So 2 is, they have like own system of calculating the distances. So we are using the MB2, meaning that it's usually, it's not pixels, it doesn't mean 2 pixels. They have like own conversion rate, so which is responsive. Here I will have some container. For now, I can just like say div here, and div, and say here should be my buttons. And what buttons? Add user and delete user. Cool. So we have that. And we also can do, yep, paper is complaining because we don't import paper. So we importing paper as well. So now we have to use the table container here. Table container, and it's a part of material UI. So it means that self-descriptive, right? So we define the table, all the table components inside. So the next thing can be table. What is inside table, guys? Do you remember structure of the table?
Row, columns. Yeah.
Table head, right? Table head. Table head. So material UI also has own table head. And here we have a table. What?
Data.
Table body. So we have table body, table head, pretty much everything. So within the table body, table head, we will need to create like our initial stuff. It's whatever we display on the top of the head, right? So how you do after the table head, you need to do table row. Table row. Table row. And within table row, you can do table cells. Table cell. And for now, I will just build just a fake one. So table row, I say this is column 1, column 2, and column 3. And I can do exactly the same. So it's saying that I didn't import table. I will import table as well. Table body. So let's have a look. What happened? What happened? Yep. Does it look like table already? I think it does, right? Column 1, column 2, column 3. So very easy, like similar to what actually like people do with regular HTML. But what is the good thing? Good thing is that having table head here, we will add a sorting, stuff for a head. And I don't want to have it here because it will be massive. So I will create like a part here, like table parts, and I say table head .j6, and I say React functional component export, and here I say table head. Cool. So I can shift it here, and I can extract these guys, bad boys, right? These bad boys, and put it here. So it will say table row, and we also need this guy here as well. So and we can import table row. Come on. And we can import table cell. And then you see the table head. Table head is our component, but we also need table head from MUI component. Any ideas how can you do it? So if I do table head here, then it will be confusion, right? So if I say we have table head here, this one saying, oh, you are doing like table head. So what's going on? Are you mad or what? So we are not mad. So we need to distinguish between these two. So I say MUI table head. So you can do this thing. And now we can use this and here and here. Cool. We just check everything, nothing breaks. We still see our lovely spinner, so everything works. Any questions, guys? Regarding this import. So this is very
about this, why it's you just rename it or what?
Yes, I renamed it because this is my component which I create. I want to use a table head name. That's why I have to remove the rename this, so it will be, they don't get conflict between this head and this head, you see. So I rename it. It is a very good practice to kind of avoid the conflicts between the imports and your variables which you are creating. Okay, so the next thing here, obviously, we will pass many props, like heaps of props. There will be component where we will pass even more props, but for now, like I'm fan of destructuring it here, but it's too many, so I don't want to do it here. So here I will pass on select all click. I will pass order. I will pass order by. I will pass num selected. I will explain it once I'm completed everything. Row count. And then we say on request sort, and everything this coming from props, so we are destructuring it. So what we needed, like why we need this, so we will have we need a checkbox here, because this is like the first column is a checkbox. So we say table cell, we need few of them. So here we say table cell, and here we do checkbox, and we need it from material UI. So we imported checkbox. Within checkbox, we can do the things. We can add color. I can say that it should be primary. So it's these are props defined by the package. So you just need to look at the in the documentation to see what kind of props it has, and then terminate. And so here we say num selected 0, selected no count. And another one we need checked. So checked is self-explanatory. So it will accept Boolean true false. If we say if it is true, then it will be checked. If it is false, it will be unchecked. So we say row count more than 0, and selected. So what it says that we currently is we want it to be a look checked if all the rows, like we obviously we will have many rows, right? So if the rows we have are more than 0 and number of selected is equal to the number of rows, it means that everything, if everything selected, then the checkbox in the top of the header should be also selected. Indeterminate, it means that if it is some selected but not all of them selected, it will be different like a selection. It's we can have a look. So React checkbox, checkbox. So this is a checked, obviously. Where's that indeterminate? And indeterminate will be something like this. So you see that when you select only one, but it's not all of them. So this is indeterminate. Is it clear, guys? What is indeterminate mean?
Yes.
Yes.
So we are following the similar structure. If all of them selected, then select, it should be checked. Otherwise, it should be indeterminate. If nothing is selected, then don't be bothered. Like you don't select any. So and also we need to, obviously, when we check on check, we need to do control the on change. So we have here, we should pass some function which kind of will control on select all click, which we will send it from the parent from the users. And here we also need to do input props. It's actually no needed. So this one is enough. So these three. So we are determining the color. We are saying that indeterminate should be if some selected but not all. Checked should be if everything is selected. And on change, we are getting like some control, right? We have to either like change all of the or like select all the other checks, which will be in the body, or select or unselect all of them. Cool. So what kind of parameters we will get in our header? What kind of like names, labels? So we can see it is gender, marital status, place of birth, date of birth. So essentially all this stuff we want to display. Maybe we won't display some of them. We will display only few, because like to kind of like not worry that some of our data will go beyond the table, right? So we don't need to spend time on fixing the styling things. So here I will say table header names. And as I said, this is a static variable which I'm determining, like I'm setting. It's very nice to do it capital and write it at the top below the imports. So this way, anyone who wants to change the name of headers, he can come here and then change it. He will see it like straight on the top of the file. So the first thing we want to display is the first name, and I can. Here I'm using the data structure, so where I'm using first name like labels fields as fields here in my data, and also values as names of the column header for column headers. So we add here. So last name. I think once I complete this, we can have a maybe 5 minutes break, and then we will just jump on the continue on doing this stuff. So last name, date of birth, and we can say just DOB, right? So date of birth, and then we need place of birth, and let it be POB, since we are creating like say similar things, and let's display marital status, and here we say marital status. Cool. Okay, guys, let's have a break of 5 minutes, and then we will just carry on from here.
Okay.
Carry on, because we have a lot of things to do. We just started scratching the surface. So now how to use this? Why I'm doing this? I'm doing this so I can now loop map through this and display these values. How would you do this? Can someone help me to do?
We cannot see.
Yeah. Just give me a second. I will share the screen. So who will help me? I will select the person from our cohort. The person who doesn't participate much, so I will just pick someone. Okay, so let it be Akirke. Okay, I think I haven't talked to you for a while. So how would you loop through this and then map it? How to display these values? How would you use it, this object?
Through keys, like we usually do object with keys.
No, I asked Akirke. Akirke? So guys, this is the thing that you have to already know, right? Like I will wake you up during the night, in the middle of the night. You should be able to answer me how you would loop through the object to display the values. Julduz, any ideas about this? How would you display loop for the object and display the values?
Maybe by that notation.
Yeah, but
Map.
how would you do it dynamically?
I don't know exactly.
Okay, cool. So Yulia, now you have a turn.
Okay, I would just for key in table header name.
Yeah, how would you do, like use a map? How would you return these values?
Table header names, square bracket key, just the for loop.
But like I want high order function. I don't want a for loop here. It would be ugly. I want map.
But can we use map for
object entries?
Yes, you can. You should think out of box. How would you do this?
We can use object entries and then map it.
Yes,
Through the
nice,
array.
Aktan. Yes, this is what I want to hear. So what Aktan said is I'm saying object. Okay, so So I use object. What kind of object I need? I need this one, right? Correct? So I need this object. And what does object has? What kind of like a
Key and value.
Key.
yes, like so it needs keys. So object keys, and then I'm saying like object give me keys of what? Of this object, right? And then I do map here. So I'm looping through the keys. So I'm receiving the key, correct? And now I can access the key, and then what I can do like again back to the table, header names, and I do key here, correct? Right, Aktan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So this is what we want to do, right? This is what exactly we want to do. Cool. So yes, you cannot like loop through actual array from object, but you can loop through array of the names, right, of the keys. So because array the keys are array, right? So then you can loop. So thinking outside of the box is very important. And here, so we have a table row. We don't need these table cells anymore. So we don't need this. And here we can start doing table cell. So here, yeah, like a regular for loops, you try not to put it inside the return of the JS6. It is ugly. It is very big. It would be very awkward to see anything there. Here I will need to use a few things. So I need first of all, so I can use a key here. So let it be table. So let it be key. And within the table, we can use key as a key here. We don't need, so it does not complain. Why do we need key? Someone tell me why, like, for not from the people who usually answer the questions, my questions, but someone from new people. Can you answer why do we need keys?
Yeah, because it's React once, and it's like you need key in React.
Yeah, but how React use the key?
I don't know exactly.
So can you guys clarify who knows how React uses the key? Why it needs the key?
I'm not sure, but I think since React should be fast and it only like tracks the changes within the childs, so it will use the keys, so it doesn't have to like change the entire parent element.
Exactly, it doesn't need to go through all the children to
Yes.
find the children which changed. It has a key. It straight away it falls. This child with this key was changed. So it doesn't need to go through all the children. Check. So it will be way faster. If you don't apply key, you not only you will slow down your React application significantly, but you also can break it. So it will function inappropriately. So here we say table header names, and here we say key. And table sort label, it's just again, it's a MUI component. It's a material UI. So it's a part of the material UI. So here we can say there are, again, you can watch documentation for this, all the properties I'm using here. So we are not going to stop for every single one of them. But what it does, it adds the arrow up and down. When you do sort, it goes up and goes down, right? So we want that arrow usually displayed at the top of the header. So once I finish, we can have a look what is rendered. So we say ascend. So if order is ascends, so and then on click, we can when we do sort, we need some function. So create sort handler. Sort handler, and then we can pass the key here. We better use create sort handler. So we obviously don't have it now, this function. So we will do it up here, and we do const create sort handler, and here we pass the property. So property, what will be our property? Guys, we are passing what? To create handler, we are passing the key. So then we pass the property, and that property goes inside this callback function, which called event. And then here we say on request sort, and we pass event and then our property. Cool. And now we need to finish the last part, which is there will be order by. If we order by the key, what we need to check, if it is descenders or ascenders. Based on that, we have to kind of flip the order. So we have to change the orders. So box, and obviously we need another box here. So when we do box, we can there is one property which we can use like a prop name, which is called component, and we want it to look like to be a span. We don't want to be a div. So here we can specify what we want it to be, and here we say visually hidden. So cool. And within here we just say order. If it is descenders, so if it is descenders, so descenders, it goes down, right? We have to put sorted descending. Otherwise, it will be sorted ascending. Okay, so we need to do it here now. So let's have a look what happened to our. We probably don't need table row, table body. We don't need table body for now. And we just import our table head, but we don't want to import it from table. We don't want to import it from MUI, from material UI. We want to import it from our component. So we say import table head from, and then we say table parts and table head. Let's have a look. Let's see. Maybe it is broken. Okay, so what is broken? It says box is not defined. So fair enough. It's easy to fix. MUI system. though we defined the box, so I don't know why it's not working. So let's troubleshoot. So box is not defined. Okay. Okay. So we have to troubleshoot this. Okay, I didn't save it. So now it should work. So clearly I sent box. So it says line 58. So what is we have on line 58? On line 58, we have this part. So what is missing, guys? What do you think? What is missing? So like we don't see any errors here, right? And it's clearly tells me that this is there is a problem in this 58 line 58. What is your guess? What is the problem?
Return. Is it
Bignar,
return?
no.
You have to
Any
export
ideas?
box.
So there is a one missing thing, guys. So this can be like very misleading. You see, it says box is not defined. We clearly defined it. So I don't trust this error. I see clearly that there is a box and I'm importing this box. So like the build is correct, but what is missing is we are not passing any props. You see, we are not passing any props. So most likely, if without these props, this component doesn't work correctly. So we have to kind of like pass the correct props on this side from the parent, and then only then we have to troubleshoot it. You see, like if we jump in straight away and see based on the error, it would be very misleading. You would think like something is wrong in the component, and most of the time it is. But don't forget that we are relying on so many properties. We have a logic. We kind of like we have to send the sort order by property to here. If we are sending something like if we are not sending all these parameters, most likely these ones affect how this component works. So for now, I would suggest to kind of like close it and fix. Maybe we will open it just for a short time, just to see what kind of properties we need, and then we will close it. And first of all, I want to fix the issue with the properties. I want to pass all the properties and then see back. Do I have the same issue? Maybe it is not. My hypothesis is that this error caused by the fact that we are not sending anything inside our component. So on this side, let's create all these parameters. So first of all, very first thing I think we have to do is create a lot of use states. So use state. So we need states to store the state of the order. So we do order. We do set order. And by default, order, like we can use ascendis, so it's increasing. Then we can do const order by. So what does order and order by do? So order by, can someone explain me why we need order by, order and order by? IPRI, would you like to guess?
Maybe we want to order by some features, maybe
By name, right? By name. One of these, this is order by. So one of these labels, it will be order by, and order, it will be either increasing, like in the ascendis, or descendis order, right? So by default, let's pick the first name as our default. So first name. So we already, I have a mistake here, a typo. So we can pass this here. So table head, we can pass order. We also can pass order by. So everything, whatever we need, you see. So we ticked this, we ticked this. So we will do one by one, right? So one at a time, order by. It's a divide and conquer, right? So we are breaking the things into small pieces, and then we are solving one by one. We are not like trying to solve everything in a one go. So then what is next needed? So we need select on select click all click. Then we need row count. We also need number of selected, so we can just shift this one down. Row count, number of selected. So you see these two, what do you think they are? Are they values or what?
I think it's function.
Yeah, nice. How did you guess?
Because on selected.
Yeah.
Like,
So you see, your name of something have to be so easy to understood that you can determine is it a function or not, right? So you always have to think like how would you put it? So you can do like a lot of your code can be like very nice, your function can be very nice, but if your name is not correct, then that would be a problem, right? So now the next thing is we can do selected const. So selected, and then we say set selected. And what do you think selected would be? What would be initial state of selected? Any ideas?
False.
Rows, right? Who said rows?
No, I said false.
False? No.
Yeah.
Selected, like, because we can false, it's a one thing, right? It's a one thing, false, true or false. But in our context, we have multiple rows. Just single one thing, one value cannot describe if we selected everything, or we selected some, or we selected like only one, right? So, or maybe we didn't select anything. We will store everything in array. So we will have like array of IDs, because every single user has an ID. So we will select, we will store. If you select one, it will add that user to the selected, and then we will always check whatever is selected. So we also need a page. So because we have a like we will have a pagination, but it's not required at the moment. So we have row count. Okay, row count is let me check row count. Okay, so row count is it's a, what do you think would be row count is? Row count, or total row count, whatever is you like. Row count, total row count. What is the total row count?
Number?
No, but where you get it from? It's clear it is number, but where you get what is it equal to? Total row count.
number of keys.
Number of users, right? Number of users. So we have like users, and this is like the total row count. So we needed, where do we use this row count? We use it to check if it is everything, if row count is bigger than 0, and if number of selected is equal to row count, then we will do checkbox. So it will allow us to develop the logic for our checkbox. Okay, so we have how many? 1, 2, 3. So number of selected. The number of selected, it will be determined from this. So we have a selected, and we need the length of selected. So number of selected, num selected, selected, and we have selected length, right? So how we will use it? We will use it here, right? So we can see if num selected is equal to row selected, then what does it mean? If num selected equals to row selected or row count, what does it mean, Yulia?
That all have been selected.
Yeah, that's right. That's all have been selected, right? So then we need these two guys, these two the last things. So our functions, right? So we will set this, and we will do. So we need to put some functions here, which we will build. Where do we need to build these functions? We have to build it somewhere here, right? Obviously.
Yes.
Because we cannot build it here. Like otherwise, why we need to pass it as a prop? Correct. So the first thing we need to pass the. Let's build handle select click all. So it's not. It wouldn't be hard. So we can do handle. Obviously, we need const handle select click all, and we pass event, and we need what we need here. We need if statement where we say if event target guys, where this handle select click all goes? I'm just checking where it will go.
On select all,
The
please.
rows checked
Checkbox here, right?
checkbox. Mhm.
Yes. So we'll put it in a checkbox, and checkbox will identify, do we need to select all or not, right? So here we say const and say new selected, and within new selected we say users map, and we say users. We actually can do ID. We can destructure because we were planning to do store only IDs in selected. So I say ID, and then I say set selected, and then I will do this new selected. So what does it mean here, guys? What I'm doing? Answer. So otherwise, answer me. What I'm doing here?
So you was set selected with all users.
So what condition it is? Like when this happens? When this would happen, IPRI?
When all will be selected.
Yes, good. When we select the main at the top of the header, when we select the main checkbox, we need to select everything, right? If it is selected, we need to select everything. So we are getting all the IDs, and then we set it to selected. So we set it to selected. And the negative scenario, if we unselected, so we do unselected, then we do set selected, and then we need to pass what? We need to pass empty array. So we are kind of like resetting resetting our selected array. So this part is clear, right? I hope. And so we did select all, and then we need to sort. And sort is another function, const handle request sort. And here we pass event, which we probably won't use. We need a property. So when you like get an event and you don't want to use it, usually you put underscore in front of it, and then this way your IDE will know that you are not going to use event. So, and here, first of all, how do you do sorts? How would you do sorts? So what kind of parameters you are going to use?
Well, we are used 2 parameters.
Okay. Oh, good.
Mhm.
What is the first parameter?
So we like we minus first parameter minus second parameter. So it will.
No. Like here in this context of this table, what we will use for sorting, it's clear that you do A, B, A minus B, and then you return the whatever. But it is very simple case, right? If it's like we sort the numbers. Here we are sorting different things. We have a date to sort. So I particularly selected date to show you how to sort the dates. We have the strings, right? And we also have 2 parameters which will define order, set order, like order and order by, right? So we first of all we should determine, is it ascenders or not ascenders, right? So we say order by, we say property, and we say order is ascenders. What does it tell? What does it mean? So we are checking if ordered order by is property. Property we will pass some property. So and it will check our state with the property. If it is this one is true, this one is true, then it is ascenders. And then we do set order, because what we want if we click on the same header twice, it should toggle between ascenders to descenders, right? So we say if it is ascenders, then next one should be descenders. And if it is not ascenders, then it should be ascenders. And now here we should do set, like do some trick, right? We should do set order by. We pass our property, right? So we pass our property, and we pass that thing into here. Handle sort. Okay, so we currently it's okay, it's fine. So still it's complaining about box. So we passed everything, but it's still complaining about box. Okay, so interesting. Stable head. Box is not defined. So we passed everything, and we still get in the same error. So we have to troubleshoot 58 order by. So we are getting this here. Object table, table cell, table sort. So we have a box. Okay. So let me check it. Components. work system. Yes. Visually hidden. Yes, table sort. Okay. I have pretty much everything. So let me just yeah, okay. Search. Okay. So we will just ensure that everything installed correctly. Okay, so it's not happy with something. Okay, code. Event. So this event, these errors, for some reason, are occurring in my. It's bothering me recently, so I don't have to figure out why. I will kill this terminal. Restart it. CD documents. CTEC. Then we will scratch up and start. System limit of number of file watches reached. So, just give me a second. This is annoying. Not one error. So system. We need React. Yeah. Linux. So you're running into kernel limit with your watchers. You can start with the current boot. Future. Okay, let me try to run it from here. Maybe it's here and start. Oh, same thing. Exactly the same thing. Sudo. CD documents. CTEC. Users. Craft. And start. Yeah, it's very promising. It should work now. Yep. Yeah, you see now it works. So sometimes it's just not the actual error from the application. It's just maybe environment, or like in my case, operating system is going crazy. So you see now we have a header. So this is the like one of the hardest parts are done. So now we have to sort it. So and sorting, guys, sorting is required. Like filtering, sorting is almost any project you will have to deal with sorting. So if you cannot sort and filter properly, you will struggle. You will struggle a lot. So first of all, I want to show you how this one works. So we do select, selected, selected length. Then we say order by. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what outputs are happening when we do all these things. So first of all, watch for selected. So I do this, you see, selected 110. Unpack it, selected 0. This is what we expect, right, guys? So we have like 110 users. So we either select them all or we select none. The second is first name, ascendus, you see, increasing. So if I click here, it will be descendus, you see? So last name, ascendus on the first click, descendus on the next click, ascendus again. You see? So everything works. The next thing we have to determine so how to use this to filter our data, right? So we first of all we need to display it, because like data will be incomplete, and the second thing, we have to sort it somehow. And sorting will be I think the trickiest part, but it's also the very nice. It's like it's challenging, and challenging is good, right? So we say we need now table body. Within the table body, what we can do, we can we don't need this, and we don't need this, and we will just modify this part. Cool. So within the table body, we can start mapping. So we say users. For now, we just will map. So user, and here within the user, we want to output. Let's say we want to output user, because if we don't have this component, we have to build it. But this way, we don't need to worry about having everything displayed here. So we can just add the user here next to our users, user J6. We create quickly again component. And within this component, within the user, we can do. So what we needed for user? For user, we need like heaps of stuff. We need props, which we will receive. I have a typo. No one is telling me that I have a typo. That's good. I don't like when someone tells me that I have typo. And here we can destructure our user. So we are getting IDs. We also will get first name, last name, everything what we were going to display: marital status, date of birth, and place of birth. Then we say we need to set it here if it is selected, because it will have our own tick box. Handle click, and we also set open model. Open model, we can hire, we don't need it for now. And everything is coming from props. And also we want to put table row, table body. So we will use table row here, table cell. And within the table cell, I can actually just copy certain things and put it here, and then we can just talk about it. So again, we need checkbox. Every line has should have own checkbox. Is item selected? It will be we just can determine if item selected is item selected, and then we can use is selected. It will be our function is selected, and we can pass ID here. So inside this. So what we are getting, that this will be a function where we will put ID, and it should tell us like if this ID exists in selected array or not. If yes, then it would be is selected item will be true, and then this one should be checked. Otherwise, it would be false, and this one will be checked. Another thing is we need extra packages because it's a very tedious process to manipulate the dates. So we have to do yarn add date, I think date format, or just let me check the names of the packages we need to install. Yep, so it's a date format. It's also MS, and it is also moment. No, we don't need moment. We just need this too. So these two packages will make your life with dates and time easy, like way smoother than if you don't use these packages without, like, and try to calculate, do a lot of things by your hand. So the first thing, so we can so we need to import date format. So the first thing, what does the date format do? Date format, if you can see, where is that? Our data. And we don't have our data open. So as you can see, we have a date format, right? So we take this string, and there is a function date format part of the library. So we put that string, and then we say, oh, this is what we need, this format. So if you guys interested how date format library works, so date format npm. And here you can see like what does triple M means, MMM. It's not actually pyramid, financial pyramid. it means that month as a 3-letter abbreviation, right? Like if you are old enough like me, so you probably know what does MMM know. Cool. Yeah, marital status, nice. Aika just told me. Though as I mentioned, I don't like when someone is telling me that I have a typo. I'm just joking. So, okay, the next step date format, I would suggest using it like pretty much in all your projects. Whenever you have to format the dates, this is just a beauty. It's easy, very easy to do. So, and the second is, as I suggested, that it's like marital status. And then we also have an edit user. So this edit user is, we don't pass that thing yet, and we probably will do it later. I mean, during the class, but we don't need it now. So we can say, we can throw alarm.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So where are we getting the date format from? Material UI?
Date format? Date format is another library which I installed here.
Right.
Yeah, date format, and the first date format, the second MS. It's not part of the material UI, the standalone. And MS is a very small library which converts dates into milliseconds. So like if you do date to milliseconds, current milliseconds, this is how many milliseconds is the current date. So every time it's growing up, right? So 1, 2, 3. I didn't know that you can do this. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. So 13 digits, milliseconds. It's our current year, current date, current time, and it's constantly going up. So the MS converts your date, any date you pass, into milliseconds. So and guess where we will use this? You probably should think like where this guy will use this.
Generating ID?
Where? No, not in ID. It's not good idea to use MS in ID. Somewhere else. Alert, edit user. So we need button and we need edit icon. So edit icon cannot find it, but it's a part of material UI. Again, I want to make it look nice, ordered, cool. So we also have a handle click. So where we use that handle click, it will be used on our table row. So we can do hover on, we can use on click. So when we click a row, it should kind of like select or unselect our row, our user. So we have to do handle click. We are passing our event handler, and we pass event, and we pass ID. And here we do selected, and within selected we can use is item selected. Cool. So again, like in a previous situation, we are passing a lot of props. So like, let me finish this, and then we will have a 5 minutes break. We are passing a lot of props, but we actually not. We are expecting a lot of props, but we are not passing any at the moment. So how would you do this? We first of all, because we are doing map, what we need if we are doing map, what is the first thing you need? What kind of prop you need if you're doing map?
ID.
What do you mean? ID prop? I don't know this kind of prop. ID.
Sorry, the key for the.
Yes, cool. So you need key, right? And we know that every user comes with ID. So this is will be our key. The next thing is selected, and we pass is selected. We need to create this function because we don't have it yet. We will create it. And another thing is that we have to do handle click, which again it's not here yet. So handle click, and we also we will add another prop, but not at the moment. It's kind of like we need to do few things here. So we are trying to import user. So these two things it's already telling us that we don't have it. So the first and easiest one, it's to do is select. So we can do const is select, and what it does, it accepts the ID, and then it should essentially just do selected, because selected is an array of IDs. So we do index of, and then we use that ID, and because we have to like determine if it is exist or not. So we are saying if it is -1, not -1, because if you remember, when we do index of, we have if it cannot find it, then it returns -1. Otherwise, it will return the index, right? So this is the first thing. You can use set, but for optimization, but it is not it is not like a topic of our project. So we are just using the like trying to use something which is very easy to understand, like, and the races are very easy, right? Like, so you should be very familiar with index of. And the second thing is a handle click. And handle click is a little bit tricky because handle click will depend like what kind of row you are selecting. You can select various rows. So like, let's say handle click, const handle click, and here you need, again, you will pass you first is a parameter is event, which we are not going to use, and then you are passing ID. And when you actually have to determine like if it is selected or not, first of all you have to determine like did you actually select, was that row you clicked on, is it selected? So you determine like selected, and then again you do index of, like we did there, and we pass in our ID. So we can actually do just like this. So the first, if then it will give us like some index. So the next thing is like we create a new array, so new selected. So this new selected array will eventually replace our selected. So we have to do set selected at the bottom straight away. Is very straightforward thing. We replace it with new selected. And here, somewhere in between, we need to create the logic. So what kind of scenarios we can expect? The first and the easiest one, selected scenario, if we have selected index is -1, right? So if we didn't find the this like if our new user, like if the selected user is not in selected, what does it mean? that then it means that we have to select it, right? So we say new selected, and then we say new selected, and here we say concat, and then we combine selected with what? With our ID. With ID we are passing. It's the first thing. So imagine you have like you selected 10 users, then you click on another one, and you already selected has information about 10 users, and you need to pass another one. Why we don't push to selected? Guys, why don't we push to selected, straight to selected? Ulan, any ideas?
No.
So selected is our state. We don't update state, we don't mutate it, right? So that's why we have to create new selected, and then we will update it. We don't push, we never push, we don't mutate our state. So that's why selected index. The second second parameter is like second condition, if our selected index is 0, that it is newly just selected, then we do need to update new selected with new selected. Imagine the row you selected is like the row you selected is the first one. So what you need to do, you need to concat again, selected, and from selected you do slice -1, slice 1. So in this way, what you do, you remove the first ID from the selected. Another condition, if selected index is like it's at the end, right? So at the end of the selected length -1. And here we do new selected. Essentially we need and we slice what? If I want to remove the last element from the array, how I would slice it?
-1.
0 to last. 0 to last -1.
Nice. Very good. Very good, Ulan. Yeah. Who also said -1? Yep. You also were very close. Yeah. Correct. And the any other case, so it's else if the selected index is greater than 0, then essentially you have to remove it, that selected ID in between, right? Like somewhere in between. So new selected, you say concat, and here you say selected, right? And then you slice from the 0 to the selected index, and then you also selected index, selected, slice, and then you say whatever is after selected index +1. So here, even it looks long, but we are covering all the edge cases, right? So we are covering like all the edge cases. So now, guys, enjoy 5 minutes break, and then we will do filtering, and then we will display all our rows. And from there, it will be, yeah, it will be quite quick.
Nurzhan?
Yes.
Sorry, I missed this part. Why don't we push and use slice instead?
So so what happens is, just a moment. I'm not going to stop recording because it's like important question. So like you see, we constantly updating selected, right? Selected is our state, and we cannot just take, like, for example, if imagine, maybe I have to draw it so it will be easy. So draw IO. So imagine you have array. Would be nice if you have like yeah, like let's say this is ID1, ID2. This is array of selected, right? You selected first 3, and then you are selecting the second, like the 4th one. And first of all, what you do, you here we check if 4 ID4, like ID of the 4th array, it's here in this array. So clearly we don't have ID4, right? Correct? So we have to add it. We have to, this is our state array. This is our state, and we have to update it, correct? So if we push straight to the state, what will happen? It will update the state, but it won't render. The render mechanism will not kick in. So instead, what we are doing, we are taking new array, we create a new array, which we are calling new selected. We are taking this, we are putting inside, and then we are also concatenating, adding an extra ID4. So the output, when you concat this and this, what will happen? You should tell me, Yulia, you should know. When you concat, huh?
It will also make a big array for.
Yeah, it will. The most importantly, it will create new array, right? So you are creating new array essentially. So, and then you use this array to update the state. So like on the next render, so once you do selected and then you put new selected, so on the next render, this guy will come and will go and replace it, and then you will have a new state of newly selected. So that's why we, every time we are concatenating, we actually using, we are concatenating to the new selected. We are adding the we are combining the updating selected, but we are not mutating the selected, because selected is a state, and we cannot just change the state without like using some hook or like using set state. So that's why we need to create new array and then replace it. Do you understand, or you still have a question?
It's clear now. Thank you so much, Nurzhan.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, guys, I think we should speed up a little bit. So now what about displaying? So we have like everything here. So let us see what is it complaining of. So it says can resolve more blah 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 edit. So for some reason this guy material UI, it decided that it can complain today, and edit icon. Okay. So let us use the named import. So still saying icons, model not found, resolve icons materials. Okay, so we probably don't have MUI or material UI. Material. We need to install material UI, install icons. So React icon component. So we probably didn't install it. So yes, I don't remember doing this. Okay, so new project, we need to run this. Nice. So it should not complain anymore. Maybe I just do. So it was edit. Material. So edit icon. Okay, so I cannot find models my icon. So this guy is giving me a lot of unnecessary stress. Hopefully it won't crash. It's we don't want to be crashing. Yay, look at this. So you see, we are selecting one. Unfortunately, we cannot unselect. So no, we can. Cool. It's just super slow. So because we are displaying so many of them, right? We need to display, we should display like limited amount. We don't want to display all of them, you see? But at least we are displaying, right? So let's do, and for this we need what? We need filter. We need to filter our data, correct? So where shall we filter? By the way, notice how nice is the day. You see, June, April, three letters, very nice. So, and it's only this line of code does it. So it's amazing. When I didn't know this package, when I was learning JavaScript, I was like writing big, massive function, which was handling all these like potential cases. And then when I found it, I said, wow, it's a game changer. So cool. Now I need to build a filter. And where do you think the filter is supposed to be? Where do you think the filter must be located? Like, I mean, like where shall we filter our data?
After render,
After render?
we can filter it as store it as a variable. Filter and store as a variable.
We can actually, because we not only need to sort, we not only filter filter those, we also need to do sort, right? So it's a kind of like two things at once. So the best thing is to do it like all here. So we do first, there will be sub sort, and so IPRE, now we are coming to your like thing which you were saying, like A and B, right? So we are doing here. Here we use sort users function. We pass user A, user B, and we also parse all order, and we also parse all order by. So this is the callback function which we will implement. It's the first thing. The next thing is we need to do slice. And when we do slice, we have to use a page, which we will use later, like a page like I will create. So we want to display, like, let's say first 5, then second 5, third 5 rows. So rows per page, we for now we can set 5. Then we also can set page. So every time page will change, so we need to do rows per page. Again, it's a 5 plus, like, or it can be like plus 10, right? Plus 10. So what we are doing, imagine if you have a page, page 1, like, or page 0, for example. How many page 0? How many you will display here?
10.
10. Okay. So we actually can. I think we can do. So we can. Okay, I think we better determine like a page rows per page. So we will say page, and so and obviously then we need to do table pagination. So for table pagination, I will just copy that stuff because it's a part of the material UI. It goes below the table container. So table pagination. So in the table paginations, we have, there is like rows per page. So everything this we have to define it. So we will use page. So a table pagination is coming from material UI. So you can look at the props of that. Try to understand why we using this and other props. Like these props are all documented, so you can see it in the material UI documentation. So the first one will be page, and you pass set page and use state, and default will be 0, and then we do rows per page, because we want to rows per page, and set rows per page. And here we will be our default one, it will be 5. So we just using the 5, and others will be like here as specified will be 5, 10, and 15. So handle change page. So we need to define that event handler here. So event handler here. So we say const, and here we within the event handler we need to again set event and set new page, and new page, and actually I don't need it. Yeah, set page and new page. So what happens is this guy table pagination, it will already pass all the information like a page number, because it's smart enough to pass the page number to your handle click. and then handle and then the handle change page, and then it will be like two things: event and new page. So and then you every time update new page. So you either go like right and it will do +1, or go left, it will do -1. And the second thing you need to do, it's a const, and you do here handle change rows per page. So we want to display how many we want. So it's either how many, it's either 5, 10, or 15, right? So we want to, so we set rows per page, and within we say parse integer. So we want, because it's only integers we are interested. It cannot be like non-integer. So we say target. We want to ensure that it is integer, because otherwise it will be it may get confused. So and then we do set page. So page. So let's have a look. And then of course we need the sort user, and sort user is fun. It's sort user. We can create utilities here. So utils, and within utils we can create like a sort user JS. So why JS? Because it is it will be only, it won't do render any UI stuff. It's just a helper function, right? So sort user, and then do you remember what we are passing? User A, user B, order, and order by. So these 4 things, right? And within 4 things, we have to do. So first of all, we say const A, and we say if order date of birth. So we want to if order date of birth. Do you remember I said why we need ms? Why we need to convert the milliseconds? We need to convert it here, so we can convert it to milliseconds. User A, order by. Otherwise, we can use just a regular user A, order by. So milliseconds, this ms, it will create the number, right? Which then we can compare. So import ms from ms. So cool. And we can do the same with B. The only thing that we need to change is the letters here. Oops. And now we can say constant multiplier, which will determine in which direction the switch needs to work. So order ascendis. If it's order ascendis, because what is the sort is looking for, guys? Do you remember what the sort is looking for? What kind of input it requires? Output from the sort.
So it requires ascending or descending, and then what to sort.
It requires either 0, bigger than 0, less than 0, right? Do you remember? So JavaScript, JS, sort. Always go to developer Mozilla. It's a source of truth, right? So let's have a look how it works. So it compares the function. So how the compare function works is the compare function return bigger than 0, then sort B. So B will be, so like essentially we do A minus B, right? So if A minus B then bigger than 0, So B, it means B is smaller, and B will be before the A, right? If A minus B is negative, it means the B is bigger than A. So the third will be like, will stay as A before B. And if they both of them like same, A minus B equals 0, then keep original order as A equal B. So this is, guys, this is what we need. We need either a return bigger, 0, less than 0, or we need to return 0. But the problem is that because we are doing ascenders, descenders, this logic has to sweep. So like if we do ascenders, this makes sense. But if we do descenders, so it needs to be vice versa. If we do descenders, then this should be like addressed here, and this one should be here. So that's why we need that multiplier. So the multiplier will switch. It will work like a switch. So if A equal B, it's very easy. So then return 0, right? It's this is what it needs to return. But this one, if A is bigger than B, then we say return 1, but we do multiplier, because multiplier will determine like multiplier can be -1 or can be 1. So if multiplier is 1, so it means that order is ascending, then we should follow this structure, right? And if multiplier is -1, if it is descending order, then it has to switch. So it should be -1 here and +1 on the other side. So multiply. So, and the only thing that is left is they have to import this guy. Hopefully everything works. So look, bam, 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 nice. And what about date of birth? Will it work? I think it should work, right? So is ascending order, so it starts from 1970. You see, it's increasing. In the descenders, it starts from 1984 and then going down. Do we have anyone from 1984 here in the class? And we also can do place of birth and marital status, right? Cool. So now we also can increase this one to 10 and look. And to 5. Cool. Nice, guys. What do you think? So let's do this part. So this one should be easy. So currently edit user, so we don't have it. We should build it. We should build it. We still have some time. So for this one, what will help us? It's a model. Do you guys know what does model mean in context of the web development? Come on.
Pop-up.
Yes, yes. So model for you, for those who don't know, you should know all this terminology, right? So like your designer will come to you and say like, hey, Ella, can you develop me like a model? And you should be like, you should not ask, what does model mean? You should be like, oh, okay, model, no problem. And model is something like this, right? This is a model. You see, it goes on top of the everything, of the content of the screen. So cool. So we have to build that model, and we also need to build those buttons. So the buttons which I had at the top, I think for sake of speed, I will just copy whatever I did. By the way, I did it yesterday. I spent some time building it, enjoyed it as hell. It's like very nice very good project. You know, it's kind of like a warm-up thing. You every now and then it's nice to build it. These kind of things that it's you learn a lot of new things. So here to control table to control buttons, we can here say table to control buttons G6, so RFC. So table to control buttons, and within the table to control buttons, we can essentially just.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you do this kind of things at work?
Yes, all the time. So that's why it's the things I built. This is like if you do it without like I didn't use any tutorials, anything, right? Like I was like looking documentations, mixing together, putting all the stuff. So if you become very good with this, so you can handle quite decent projects. So I don't struggle building like very complex projects. Recently, I just finished like whole full stack project also with the forms. So that was fun. I spent a week building it. So this is a very simple version, but it's very nice. If you do it all the time, make it use this project, try to add something more. Next week I will show you material UI more, like how to build the forms. You also will do like a project for material UI based on material UI, and then it will be, I think it will be over. You will start working on your internships, and I'm not going to explain you all this stuff. You will have to search it yourself. So you will become like a grown-up high-level bootcamp students. So a lot of things you will have to learn on your own. But now I'm explaining you a lot of things, going through a lot of this information. So open model, it will be one of those extra functions which we use here. So we will have to control the model. So the button here we created two buttons. The one button is add user. The second button is delete user. So delete user, I didn't create API. I just realized yesterday. I thought like, you know, like it's okay. As long as we create add user, and deleting will be the same, not much different. As long as there is API for that. The most important thing here, in this component we are passing open model. So we can with that we're clicking on the button add user. We are setting two things. We are setting mode type, add user mode, and we are setting also ID. So because we are creating new user, we don't know its ID. So we are just passing ID null. Where do you think ID generated for users? Like if you have like set of users, where the ID would be generated? What do you think? It's more like a conceptual question. Where would you generate IDs for your, like if you create like a data set, where would you create your IDs?
From login, like in the beginning.
No, you will create your IDs in a backend. You don't generate IDs on the front end. You don't pass, like, you don't create the ID and then say, hey, backend, this is ID, you have to use it. No, it's not the task of front end to develop the IDs for the documents, for entries, right? It is task for backend. Create the IDs, do a lot of like data manipulations. Front end is doesn't touch that things. So, and here we have to build user form. So user form will use at the bottom of the user form, we will use, so user form G6. Within user form, we will use our model. And this is the probably like, okay. So I just look in what we can, RFSCE, user form. By the way, there is another thing what we need to do. Just a moment. We need to add open model to the user. We need to add Object6. Not here. We need open model. We can pass it here. So what we want to do, we want to open model not only when we add user, but we want to, maybe our app is broken now. We need to add the open model also when we want to edit one of the users. And when we want to edit, we don't want to edit, for example, things like name or gender, like or name, last name, gender. Maybe you want, like depending on the country you live, right? But like things like name probably should stay consistent. So we can restrict what we want to edit and what we don't want to edit. So open model in the user, we can here, do you remember we did on click here, and then it fires the this model. So we can do it here. So for now, I say open model, and I put it here. So I do open model, and then it comes as a prop here. So open model. We will open model in two places. Model. We will open model in two places. The one place is when we add new user, and the second model is when we edit. When we try to edit the single user. So, and here we have to pass. We are saying that mode type would be edit mode, and then we also pass an ID here. And now we will have to build the user form. So the user form is the last thing we have to build. And here, so I already was cheeky enough to pass all the props. So I passed all the props because we are a little bit limited on time. So we are what we are getting. We are getting. Okay, so we have const here. So I like arrow functions. So even though we are limited on time, I will still convert everything to arrow functions. So I say open, we get close model, and then we say model type. And when we do model type, we have a mode type, and we also have ID. So ID we are passing like this. So if you can see, we created the two states here, open, set open. So it's a for model and model type, right? So model type. So if model type here we're saying if model type is not specified, or if it is specified, then we should fire the display user form. And within the user form, we have to again create user form. It's like there are special packages. I will show you next week. Maybe not next week, but the week in 2 weeks later, when I will demonstrate again one of these such projects. I will use a special package called Formic. For now, I need to Formic will what does the any text field do? When you do React, you have to create state and then handle change of the state. So these states we need to create. Oops. So we will just copy and paste it. So every state of the person of the user, first name, last name, date of birth, place of birth, email, marital status, and gender. These all the states we have to change or we have to create. So we are adding, and also we have to determine if we are in edit mode or not. So in edit mode, we don't want to display all the fields. So we say mode type, and we say, is it in edit mode? Edit mode. So maybe if we are not in edit mode, then it means in which mode we are. We have to create new user, right? Otherwise, if we don't create like if we are if we are in edit mode, we should selectively display certain fields, not everything. So and then here we have to do return. Within return, I do model. So I say open. I set open. Then I do on close. I say close model, because close model is just the function which we pass to close the model. We also need a box to say component. We want the box to be div, and we want it to be certain style. So that style I will also copy, because it's just a bunch of styles. You can, it's very easy to understand. Position absolute, top 50, left 50, blah blah blah, and all that stuff, which we really don't care. Like it's you all should know, right? So that it's very easy that this object goes here inside in the box. We also can do form. So we need to create form here. So I will use styled component. So for this, I say const form. I say styled component, styled component, and I want to change form. And within the styled within here, I have to specify the certain things. So it's a display flex. I want all my inputs to be vertical direction column, flex direction column, align items. I want to them center, and I also want to be gap 10 pixels. Cool. So and then I can use that form inside the box. So now I can use it as a component, and within that form I can do on submit. On submit, I say handle submit. And how do you do when we do submit? What very important to put it in the handle submit function. Handle submit. What kind of like what kind of expression you need to put inside the handle submit? Do you remember? Anyone remembers it? Guys, am I talking to myself, or if you don't remember, just say it. I don't remember, so I will just give answers right away.
Don't remember.
So when you do handle submit and you do edit to the form, don't forget that you should prevent event, prevent default. This way, you will prevent default behavior of the form to submit it to somewhere. So we want to control it. We don't want a form to just do post request to the place you don't need. So we always use prevent default, and we will do like own request, which will be asynchronous request, but we will do it like later. The first thing first, we want to build the UI. So so I'm saying that if it is edit, then we need to display certain things. I will just copy this to prevent writing. So every single thing here, it's a text field, right? So I have a text field for place with placeholder first name, last name, date of birth, gender, city, email, marital status, and we also have a button. When you want button to submit the form, you should also add the what? You should add always type submit. So let's have a look what happened. In theory, so use form is not defined.
Line 41. Should be form, not from.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Yep. So all good. Okay. So let's have a look. Still complaints about something? Box. We don't have a box. Put it model material UI. Nice. So user form is not defined. So we have to help it. User form is not defined. Where the user form comes from? So it comes from the correct place. So the way I test it, I go from user form to here. So it finds it. So it's I need to save it probably. And voila, we have two buttons. So this one breaks, which is not good. What does it say? Model type is undefined. Cool. We will figure out this, why it is doing this. The second thing is, what about this? So both things breaks, which is not good. So something is breaking. We have to determine what is the break, like why it is breaking. So let's have a look. It says model type is undefined. So parameter model type. Okay.
I think we use this modal with A.
Maybe you're right. Yep, model type. And here we say model type. Yep, cool, nice, good. And here, what about user? Not user, so user form. And we also, so for these kind of things, what is good? Anyone knows what is good for this? Like, what would have picked the error very quickly? You see, so we have two forms, one for email, one for add user. Any ideas? What technology would have prevented me from making this error instead of model?
Prettier, purify.
No, it is TypeScript.
TypeScript.
So TypeScript would every component will be every prop of every component will know that they know what kind of properties are coming. So this way I wouldn't do this mistake. But as you can see that without TypeScript, JavaScript is quite stupid. It doesn't know, like, doesn't control. I can pass any prop here and no one will complain, right? And then these problems occurs. So the last part is develop the callback, so handle submit. And since we are almost finished with our time, I will just copy the user form. So we need to go to user form, and on handle submit, we have to update this function, handle submit. So there are two cases. If it is edit, so we need to import access. So access came. We need also async. So it's another thing. So here we're saying if is edit, if it is edit and ID is defined, then we need to do get request, fetch the user, and then we have to update our input. And if you read the code, Ulan, can you explain me why I do fetch the user? Why do I need to fetch the user?
Because it's not local, we have to bring it.
No, it is local, but I'm just doing something very like what does the code do? So what this step is?
I don't know.
So Axios get, it's a fetch. I'm fetching the user, like I'm fetching the data, so I'm getting the user. So then the next step, so we don't need this console log. The next step is that we are creating input because we are going to update patch. So we are going to update the user. So there are two different calls. One is patch, one is update. So update, this is patch. So so when you update something, you have to update the whole object. You have to specify all the parameters. But when you patch, you have to you can specify only few parameters. So express, patch, and post. I will find a good resource. I will tell you. But how our data looks like? Look. So if for example, if I want to update this, there are two calls. If I want to update, I have to update everything. Whatever you see here, I have to update. But patch, you can selectively update certain fields. You see? So what does a patch mean? Do you guys mean? Do you know like what does patch mean in English?
Fetch.
Patch.
Patch.
So like let's say you have a jeans, right? You made a hole, so you cut the small part of the cloth, and then you sew it to your jeans, right, to close that hole. So that piece of material is called patch. So you are patching it. You are not replacing whole jeans, right? You are just replacing that certain place, like fixing that certain place. So in our case, we are saying that if email, if we don't want to update email, because in our form, we don't update email. Like let's say if I miss it, so if I submit the form with missing email, my API will say, hey, you cannot do this. You have to kind of like provide email. So in this case, what I'm saying is, if my email is undefined, or like if it is empty string, then I have to use the data from the actual whatever is in database. I'm fetching it. I'm fetching it first, and then I'm replacing that email with the data from database. If it is defined, if it is not empty string, then I should use the data from whatever I type here. For example, test email.com or test email test. And here, let's say marital status. I don't. He's currently single. I want to say he's married. So I submit. Very important thing. If I saved it, I didn't. So I have to. It will. We have to re-update the app. So Alexander. So married. So he's single, married. So we do test. Gmail.com. Submit. Okay, so let us check. What is the broken thing? Okay, it updates, but it does not close. So it doesn't get close our thing. So let's refresh. And now you can see it is married. It is updated. So once you do submit, you also we have to close it, right? The form should be closed. So on submit, we should close the form. So on submit, handle submit. So we close model. Let us try. So we do submit test. We may not specify it. So I say divorced is a divorced. Submit. Yep, it closed. Now I refresh the table, and this guy is divorced now. He's not married. So what about adding let's say do AAA, last name AAA, the date, month, let's say date 01/2021, gender male, city X, email test, test2, email.com on Gmail, let it be, and single. Cool. So let us check. So this guy is appeared here, you see? So, yep, that's all, guys. That's all. We covered so many things. I would recommend to rewatch it, repeat it. Do you think I should send the code to you, or like you want to follow the class and then try to replicate it and build it yourself?
No, it will be better to have the code, and then we can watch them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nurzhan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That
Nurzhan.
was like a really interesting project, but I will tell you, like, maybe I understand like 30% only on this project because I